As if it wasn't enough to see the abandonment of every cat's friend, Antonio Tiberi, during the Granada stage due to heat stroke, the condition that is affecting all of Andrea Piccolo's former teammates, a new case of the damnable COVID-19 has arrived in the Peloton, in the form of course, Astana, and in the figure of the Ecuadorian Harold Martin Lopez, an anodyne cyclist without victories as a professional, but, as you can see, well related to the king of the minions, the man who made a legendary display on the road to Granada, attacking 88 kilometers from the finish line. We wish a speedy recovery to both of them, of course. Now today was a day of reunions. Oasis returns, the Vuelta returns, and returns to Pontevedra, Galicia, one of Javier Guillen's favourite regions to get easy money, and a region where the legendary McDonald's Horner made, in 2013, one of the greatest exhibitions of his career by bursting on the explosive ascent of the Mirador de Lobeira two of the best punchers of the time, Piti Valverde and the Andorran Rodriguez. And all this while being born just 1 year after the doper pirate Pantani. At the finish line, he again amused us with his Spanglish, claiming that he had won that stage because he was literally a very small person. Subscribe for more stories like this, and also follow us on our personal Twitter, @UncleCycling, just as Jakub Mareczko continues to win village races in China for his 31st professional victory in the land of that Asian giant. And now, let's move on to analyse the day's stage. We started the day with yet more bad news. One of the cyclists who your Uncle Cycling highlights has been keeping a very close eye on, the extremely dangerous Kobe Goossens of Continuum Sports, abandoned for the second consecutive year, another fall in the Vuelta. This time the fall had been caused 4 days earlier, and the Belgian had to eat up the hard stages of Cazorla and Granada all by himself, and oh so quietly. Oh, what a pity, these rest days and these untimely injuries. We can only guess that he missed one of the charter flights that took the riders from Granada to Vigo in the northwest of Spain. And very close to there, in Ponteareas, would start the stage of 160 kilometres, and as you can see, with up to 4 mountainous difficulties. The last of them is the hard Puerto de Mogas, 10 kilometres at 6% average gradient. An ideal terrain to trigger a new ambush on the whining leader O'Connor. The finish line in Bayonne, a classic Galician coastal town, ideal for selling cheap tourism and tat, well, that's somewhere that the Vuelta had already arrived in 2016, with victory for the forgotten Gianni Meersman, who in that race realised he was sick with cardiac arrhythmia and he had to give up cycling after finishing off with 2 victories for his palmares. And so, the question of the day would be, is the stage going to see some brave escapee, or will the Peloton fight it out in a week full of stages of this style? Because there are a lot of people there forming an orderly queue to cut time on the leader. Follow the video to the end to find out. From the beginning of the day was a man who had already marked today's stage on his calendar. The Belgian bot, who had already 2 stage wins in this Vuelta and was promising to reach up to 5 victories in this Spanish round. He even had his family there as extra motivation for him to perform on the road. After all, if it had worked for the Mummy of Man, why not for the Pursuer Wout? And although it took a while to make the breakaway of the day, obviously Van Aert had to be among those present, and he did it with 4 other men. The Andorran, Calippo Soler, let loose by the Sonia Duval team to shine by himself. There was the young Belgian of the Dinosaur team with only 1 victory as a professional in Rwanda, William Junior Lecerf. There was the Frenchman of FDJ without victories as a professional, Quentin Pacher. And also the German of the hair doping team with no victories as a professional, Yuri Hollmann. In other words, we were looking at a man with almost 50 pro wins in road cycling against a bunch of rookies and an ice cream lover. And so, if the Peloton allowed them to take a gap, we pretty much knew all that was going to happen. And so it was for most of the stage. O'Connor and the Casino team played it cool. Without any riders dangerous to the overall classification up the road, they left them and sat back at around 5 minutes. The big news in the bunch was the pendulum-swinging performance of the man sanctioned by his own team, Enric Mas, and he didn't take too well to the rest day, and so on every climb he was getting dropped and then rejoining the group of favourites thanks to his teammates. At the time of writing this script, we just hope that they won't say that this drop in performance was caused by the damn COVID-19. In fact, the Red Bull team did try to pick up the pace for their Slovenian ski leader to move him into the final field, but then they quickly cut the pace, as did the compatriot of Harold Martin Lopez and the king of the Minions, Jefferson Alexander Cepeda, riding, of course, for the doped Hipsters team. No one expected the attacker Enric Mas to attack, even with Tramadolito Quintana in the group of favourites, and this 6 days before the doctor of his Breton outfit, Freddy Alexander Gonzalez, is due to be tried in court in Marseille for possession of doping products and methods during the 2020 Tour de France. It was a really easy day for the casino team to control, and they only lacked the presence of their 17-year-old Frenchman, Paul Césars, a future star of the sport, and still they could prove that, even without the Druid Lavenue, they have a team capable of controlling the big stars, and all thanks to the power of the incredible Van Rijssel bikes. Ahead, while Calippo Soler went to the Saunier Duval team car, no doubt to ask for an ice cream, the Belgian bot decided to attack on the flat after scoring more points for the green jersey and the blue points jersey, and he took the bearded Frenchman from the FDJ team on his wheel. The ascent of the Mourgas Pass by the Belgian rider was typical of his best days, and he quickly made it clear that he would be the #1 candidate for the win, while the peloton simply climbed at pace, leaving the whiny O'Connor to enjoy one more day in red, with a lead close to 4 minutes. 1 day closer to a win in this Vuelta a España, perhaps. The Vuelta a España, they say, is so exciting, simply because of the 2 good stages out of the 10 we've seen. The Vuelta a España where conservative riders are content to follow the wheel of the red jersey. There was no fight for the stage win. An exhausted Pacher couldn't even follow the final attack of the green jersey, who then took his 3rd stage win in this Vuelta a España. We imagine a new round of champagne corks are popping tonight, a Shea Rabobank, all for the man who is fulfilling his promise of putting on a show for his fans in the Vuelta a España. And thank goodness we have riders like the Belgian, because, folks, there are supposedly interesting stages, but if the riders don't want to take advantage of them, it's not our fault. Oh well, while you're here, you'd better check out that video on the screen there. You'd be mad for it, kid.